All right, guys. Welcome to the latest edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday. And just making sure everything is up and running before we kick it off. So give me just a moment. You know I always like to do that to make sure you guys are seeing and hearing what I'm seeing and hearing. So let's make sure that happens. All right, guys. Now, before we get started with the stream, again, give me about 2 seconds here to make sure everything is crack-a-lacking. And then we're going to get it going here. Let's see. Looks like we're all online. All right. I see Michael Garmin in there. So I guess it's only right for us to go ahead and get started with the stream. But before we do, since this is Terrible Towel Tuesday, it's only right for us to see a little bit of the towel swinging. So without further ado, before we get started, let me leave you guys or introduce you guys to this. All right, so there you have it, guys. A little bit of the towel swinging right there. I'm getting myself, back into the groove, man, with picking up a new PC. So I think I'll be able to bring more action like that and make the scenery a little more live and more interactive with you guys. And shout outs to my man, Antoine. Right away, guys, let's give him a round of applause. Definitely appreciate that, man. Appreciate that big time. Appreciate the donation, man. You guys are great. So shout outs to Antoine. Hopefully you guys are hearing it the way it's supposed to be heard. So if you guys can just give me a quick thumbs up or, put the emoji in the comments or whatever, let me know that you are able to hear me. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. So only a couple things I'm going to talk about today, man. Like you see there in the title, we want to talk about Le'Veon Bell. And I know some of you guys are probably saying, why am I referring to the third time? I'll get into that in just a moment. And I want to talk a little bit, man, about the lack of consistency with the Steelers in their red zone offense. As I'm looking down, you're going to see me look down from time to time to see you guys comment. So hopefully it doesn't bother you too much. All right, so let me move some of this stuff out of the way. Like I said, guys, I'm getting back acclimated here. I picked up a new PC. So I'm no longer streaming on the MacBook. I'm also using my actual camera as the webcam now. I have the, a Canon that I'm using. So I'm just trying to get everything, as legit as possible before we kick this thing off and I get back streaming the games and things like that. So any feedback you guys can give me, greatly appreciated. So anyway, let's go ahead and kick it off with the first thing I want to talk about. I have a few notations here, man. Le'Veon Bell, we all know. The reason why I'm talking about him right now, guys, is obviously because next week is the deadline, man. I mean, what is it? July 10th right now. The deadline is on the 16th, which will be Monday. So this is the last Terrible Towel segment that we'll have to discuss Le'Veon Bell before something happens. There's either going to be a deal made sometime this week or he's going to be tagged. He's going to play at 14.5. What we already know is Le'Veon Bell has already said that, listen, I'm not going to play for less than the tag. I'm not going to sign for less than the tag per year, which is 14.5. We all know this song and dance. I'll just give you a quick recap for some of you guys that may not know. All right. We were told last year, it's rumored that Le'Veon Bell was offered a $13 million per year contract. I believe it was about a 5-year contract or so. Turned it down. Okay. He played on the 12.5 last year. So judging by what he's saying now that he's not going to take less than the tag, looks like the Steelers offered him a little more than that last year, reportedly, $13 million per year, turned it down, right? So now we're approaching this season, 14.5 is the number. He said it himself on whatever show that was, NFL Network, one of those. He said it himself. He will not sign for less than the tag. That's 14.5. So you would expect the Steelers to at least go up to 15 or more. It was already been reported as well. Again, we don't know the numbers for sure, but it was reported that the Steelers already offered him 15, at least 15 for this year's contract, going forward. The new offer, reportedly, he did, well, not reportedly, we know he declined that. So again, that leaves us at a point to, are the Steelers going to go beyond the rumored 15? Are they going to, go up a little more? I believe this week there will be a final push. I do believe there will be a final demand from Le'Veon Bell, and again, a final push by the Steelers. You would expect maybe they push it to 15.5. I don't know what the number is. Le'Veon Bell had hinted before that he wanted to get at least 16 or 17 million a year. I don't know if he's going to get that number, but that's where we at. All right. So the point of me bringing up that I don't think they will tag him a third time, let me explain to you why. Saw some information earlier, man, and I took notes here, and I'm going to read it to you word for word. Give me just a second here. And I just want to make sure I cite my sources. I believe this was Franco Harris actually mentioned this. Bob Labriola, one of the beat writers for the Steelers on Steelers.com, reported this. A lot of times he does his asking question, got people can ask him questions, he'll give answers or whatever. And basically, this is what Franco Harris was talking about, saying that he doesn't believe that the Steelers would tag him a third time. And this is what Bob Labriola said. It comes down to money, because somebody asked, why wouldn't they tag him a third time, assuming we tag him this year and then we don't get him signed next year and have to tag him again. Why would we not do that? So Bob's response was simply money. He says here, to use the franchise tag for a third time on a player, the team must pay that player 144% of his previous year's salary. Assuming Le'Veon Bell plays on the 2018 season under the tag, that right now is 14.544. Using the tag again next year would mean Bell would earn 20.94 in 2019. And I can go ahead and agree with that and say, no way. There's no way that they're going to pay this man $20 million for a season via franchise tag. I don't get it. Here's a couple reasons why I think it won't happen. First and foremost, that's just too much money for a running back. And listen, I'm not trying to discredit any man or any player, et cetera, but come on, man, for a running back in this era, the way the NFL is currently constructed, is anybody going to pay them $20 million for one season? I highly doubt it. Number two, here's the other reason why it won't happen. If you would have paid him, say last year, you paid him 12.5 on the tag, assuming he plays on the tag this year and you pay him 14.5, and then next season, let's say you pay him $20 million. Do the math. How much is that on a 3-year contract? Kind of get what I'm saying? If the Steelers would be willing to pay him 20 years on a 3rd year franchise tag, look at how much money that would have been earned in 3 years. You easily should have been able to get a deal done. You understand what I'm saying? You should have been able to throw more money at him or meet him where he wants to be met. Because from what we're hearing basically from Bell and the Steelers, they're not that far apart. So if you do that, do the math, 12.5, 14.5 on another 20, come on. That could have been, something should have been able to have been worked out where they can at least front load the contract where you get the bulk of it in the first 3 years. Maybe they do a 5-year deal worth $50 million or whatever they would do. You could easily make those numbers work if they were willing to pay. Let's just assume now going forward, if they somehow are willing to franchise tag him for the 3rd time. I don't see that happening. So I thought it was very interesting, man. Bob Labriola kind of getting those, little tidbits from Franco Harris, kind of talking about what happened to him, when he had to leave via free agency, etc. So something to think about, man. That's why I do not believe that this guy will get a 3rd tag, and this could very well, and it probably very well will be Le'Veon Bell's last year if there's no deal done come next Monday. It's going to be the last season, I believe, as a Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's just how I see it. For you guys who love Le'Veon Bell, heartbreaker, right? For those of us that love him but understand the business, we just have to stomach it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a lot of money. Again, I've said this over and over and over again. I don't fault the man. I know what he's trying to do. I don't fault him for that. But it is what it is. You're not going to get that type of money. It's just the way the business is currently constructed. It is what it is. So there's no faults there, in my opinion. Business-wise, they don't want to spend too much as a man and risking, your body and your long-term life and career. I understand you want to get as much as you can while you can. So I can't fault anybody. I'm not going to take the narrative of, oh, he shouldn't be so greedy and he should take this and he should take that. Listen, man, on your job, on all of our jobs, don't we want to make the most money? It is what it is. We don't have to like it as football fans, but from a person standpoint, I can't knock this man for trying to get as much money as he can for himself while he can. It is what it is. It's strictly business. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you look at how these NBA players are getting paid. My God, you expect any NFL player to be cheap? When they looking over here and seeing the type of money these dudes are making? I'm just saying, you got to look at it sometimes from that standpoint and not as a hardcore Steelers fan, and blue collar type of mentality. We can't look at it like that all the time. We got to understand from a human standpoint, and the type of game this guy's playing. He's going to try to do what he can when he can. So I get it. So let's move on to the next thing, man, because I don't have much to talk about tonight. I'm going to definitely read some of you guys' comments. We're already at about 10, 11 minutes or so just keeping track of that. Let's see. The next thing. Interesting information, man, I heard on SteelersDepot.com. I also read the article that was posted by Dave Bryant over there. Very interesting. I'm going to read you something, guys. He said that in the red zone last year, first of all, before I even get to that, let's talk about the red zone really quick. For the last couple seasons, man, we have all been saying that our red zone efficiency has been bad, right? Last season, it seemed to improve a little bit on the surface until you look at some of the numbers. It didn't really... Though it may have seemed like it improved, it still didn't necessarily meet the mark, so to speak. And you'll understand what I'm saying when I read you these stats here. But I would like to ask you guys, man, so when I look at the comments, I want to see what you guys have to say. What is the issue with the red zone with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you guys think it's play calling? Do you think it's Ben Roethlisberger's play and his decision making? Do you think it's the offensive line not being able to open up enough holes when we attempt to run the ball in the red zone? Do you think it's bad play design, which I know is play calling, the same thing, but I want to hear what you guys think, because I'm not quite sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. All that talent you got on the field. I mean, just think about the last 3 years, okay? Let's go all the way back to the last season that Martavis Bryant was active, not last year, but the year before his suspension, when he was, he was a good piece of the equation. Think about that year on. When you got Martavis Bryant, who what was he, 6'4", 6'5", tall guy. You got fairly good size or big size tight ends, which at that time, I can't remember, was Heath still there when Heath might have still been there that second season of Martavis Bryant, maybe, I don't remember. But either way, you got a tight end that's capable there, whether it was Heath or Jesse or Matt Spaeth, one of these guys. Matt Spaeth, as big as he is. Antonio Brown. You got your slot guy. And who was it at the time? I'm trying to think back then. Might have been Marcus Wheaton. I can't even remember, man. 3-4 years ago. But anyway, let's just say Marcus Wheaton, which, well, we know Wheaton was hurt a lot. So scratch that. Let's just say when Eli Rogers was healthy. I can't think of who else, guys, was primarily playing in the slot. Somebody help me out with that. Who was our slot guy, say 3 or 4 years ago, when Marcus Wheaton wasn't playing? And it was just Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant. Somebody help me with that. I'm drawing a blank here. But anyway, whoever it is in the slot, whoever that is can be a decoy if you don't even want to use him. But then you got Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. And Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. What is the problem? You fast forward to last year, we already know who was out there playing the majority of the time. You still have Martavis Bryant coming in here and there, having him on the field as a distraction. Again, still a big body. You got Jesse James or Vance McDonald when he's healthy. Both big guys, big tight ends, right? You got Juju in the slot, Antonio Brown, and you got, again, Ben Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell. What is the problem with the red zone? What's the problem? Now, let me read to you these stats. You guys are going to trip off of this. So, shout outs to, again, Dave Bryant at SteelersDepot.com. He says, Ben's red zone stats for last year was this. 41 pass attempts inside the red zone. Okay? Ben was 31.7%. He only completed 13 out of 41 attempts. However, here's the caveat. All 13 were touchdowns. Now, when you go back and look at some of the games last year, I'm sure you guys are probably drawing memory right now. There were times where receivers let us down. There were some drops in there. Let's not forget that. I mean, even the infamous Jesse James catch that was ruled not a catch, you got to consider that an incompletion. So there were some drops in here and there, but still, the numbers are the numbers. There were some times that we could say, you know, receivers let us down, or however, 13 for 41 is tough. But the thing that gives Ben saving grace, if you're asking me, is what all 13 completions were touchdowns. How crazy is that? Now here's another stat. 12 of the completions were inside or from the 10-yard line. So that's interesting. So what is happening from the 20 to the 10? When 12 of those completions, 12 of the touchdowns were from the 10 or closer. Very interesting, right? So it just makes me wonder what is going on. So I'm hoping that the red zone, man, please, we definitely need to increase our production in the red zone, because again, when you look at the schedule that we're facing, man, we're facing some teams that can definitely score. We don't know what defense is going to be presented yet. You know, we're a long ways away from understanding or knowing what our defense will be. All right, and we're facing teams like the Atlanta Falcons. We're facing teams like Drew Brees and the Saints, Carolina. You know, Carolina is not known as a juggernaut on offense, but again, a team that could give us some problem. We're going to need to score the football. Baltimore, you can imagine, is going to be better. You would think the Cincinnati Bengals would be a little better. And Cleveland will more than likely be better. So we're going to have to make sure we score the football. We still got to play the Patriots once again. And whether we all know in our hearts that we won that game last year, it's still, the fact still remains that on the record books, Steelers have not done that great against the Patriots. Last year would have been a reprieve, and it got taken away from us, but it is what it is. You know, even though Jesse's touchdown got overturned, we still cannot forget the fact that with less than 3 minutes left, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski abused our defense, Sean Davis particularly, as well as Mike Mitchell not being able to cover the middle of the field. There you have it. So I'm just saying, man, the red zone is still a concern for me. And just take away a guy like Le'Veon Bell. What's going to happen when Le'Veon Bell is gone? Who's going to fill that void? Toting the rock. You know, toting that tater like my old coach used to say. It's going to be interesting, man. So just a couple things to think about. Like I said, man, I didn't have a whole lot of topics tonight. We're at about 18 minutes right now. So I'll spend the last, 10 minutes or so talking to you guys, seeing what you guys have to say here. And yeah, we'll do it like that. So just a couple things I wanted to mention there. Let's go take a look at you guys' comments. As you're going to see me leaning forward, getting closer to the camera as I read the computer here. And what's up to everybody who's in the house? My man Antoine, definitely he's a Cowboys fan, but he comes through to support me, so I always appreciate that. Let's see what you guys got here. Send the producer says, do you think the Steelers will reach an agreement with Le'Veon Bell before this upcoming season? Listen, man, it's still possible. I think, kind of like what Kevin Colbert and Tomlin both said, several weeks ago, I don't think it was a part of the priority at that moment after they tried initially. Then I think they slacked a little bit, went into the draft, went into mini rookie camp. I mean, rookie mini camp. Tangling my words there. Then they had the little voluntary OTA mini camp thing there. A lot of stuff to think about, coaching, interchanging, getting coaches up to speed, etc., etc. And I think now that they are approaching the deadline is when they will make one more push. And we'll see. I think it's possible, but I just don't know how far the Steelers, their pocketbook will open. I just don't know. How much is in the wallet? What are they willing to give out in that wallet? And that's going to determine whether the guy's a Steeler or not. I think it's possible that it could happen. I mean, hey, even if they offer something where it averages 14.5 per year, I think Le'Veon Bell could possibly take that. I would hope he would. I mean, I understand he may be a few points off here and there, a few million here and there. I get it. And again, I don't blame him, but I think if he really wants to be a Steeler, and it's not all about the money, and I'm talking about the difference from, let's say the Steelers come in at 15 million and he wants 16 over 5 years, right? To me, if you really want to be with a team and you're making, I'm just exaggerating here. Let's say they offer him a 60 million, 5 year, $60 million deal, right? He wants it to be 16 per. Steelers say we'll give you 15 per. And you making that kind of money. You understand what I'm saying? Is 5 million really that big a deal if you want to be with that team? That's what I'm saying. Not saying he shouldn't ask for a certain amount. I'm just saying if he wants to be with a team, you would think he'd be able to bend on $1 million or $2 million here per year. Just saying. Alexander says, I'm not even a Steelers fan, but I'm still here. Appreciate that support, man. Salutes to you. Steeler Card says, I think James Conner and Jalen Samuels are capable of being a good 1-2 punch. We'll have to see exactly what Jalen is going to be, man, in terms of a full-fledged running back. I mean, he was more like a Swiss Army knife in college. I watched a little bit of his film. I probably watched a total of 3 full games. But I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to see him in every situation. But anybody that you use as a quote-unquote Swiss Army knife should have some type of capability. They're high on his receiving. He can rush the football. I've seen him score a couple running touchdowns, so we'll see. We'll definitely see what's up with that. James Conner, again, is a wild card, man, because we just got to worry about his health. I mean, of course, we know his real health that he overcame in college, you know, having the cancer and all, but just even his football health, because, you know, he got injured last year, so we'll just have to see where he's going to be this year. I heard he lost some pounds, shredded a few pounds or whatever, and he's really fit. So we'll see. Leon Harris says, I think the offense will be fine without Bell. That money should go towards the defense. Can't keep everyone. I fully agree. Excuse me, guys. Thank you for the excuse right there. My man Antoine says, Bell is a good back, but if he leaves Pittsburgh, I believe he's going to get have hard times because he is used to y'all's system and just the connection. I fully agree. I talked about that last week, man. I think he could be successful somewhere else. I just don't know if it's going to be what he is. You know what I mean? Like that style of run, the way he runs, he's had to build that chemistry over the years, you know, with the linemen, and we'll see. And who knows if he's going to be as featured in another offense, and if he is as featured, depending on where he goes, it might be easier to key on him. You know, you can't really key on him in the Steelers because Antonio Brown is out there. So you can't put all your eggs in one basket to stop Bell. That's part of what makes him tick. You know, having a guy like Antonio Brown, and even like last year, a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster that just showed his butt off. You can't put all your eggs in one basket and say we're just going to watch Le'Veon Bell. So let's say he goes to another team that's not as well-versed or don't have as potent of players in other positions. You understand? You know, because basically, you know what I'm saying? It's like the team who would get him, I think, is a team that is not that great. I don't see a great team bringing him in and paying him a buku amount of money when they're already successful, like a Philly. Why would Philly do that when they were able to get the job done last year with 3 backs? See what I'm saying? You know, it would have to be a team that's like on the fringe, you know, or I wouldn't see the Patriots doing that when they're very successful with mid-tier backs. You understand what I'm saying? So depending on where he ended up, that would all be the determining factor. You know, it's not that often that you get a guy like Bell and Brown on the same offense. That's kind of crazy. Which again is the reason why I don't understand. Well, it hurts as a fan that we haven't gotten another title with that type of offense. And the window is about this big right now, in my opinion. Raider 78 says, screw Pittsburgh Raider Nation chumps. Hey man, but I tell you what, I bet you nobody in this stream watches any Raider streams. I'm just saying. But we appreciate you coming through. My man Nathan Albrook says, Sim, just popping in to say hello, my man. Hope all is going well. Hey, I appreciate you, brother. All is well, man. And I thank you for coming through. What up, Ron? Complete Boss says, Pittsburgh has Juju and Mason. Y'all finding a running back in the draft. Bryce Love, perhaps. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I definitely think we're gonna go running back tad bit earlier next year, whether Le'Veon is there or not. I for one don't think the crop that we have right now are a great compliment to Bell until they perform. Now, again, James Conner has some spurts, but James Conner got pulled very early last year in the Jacksonville game, the first game, you know, missed the pass blocking assignment, which it happens to rookies. It resulted in an interception, you know, Ben having to force the ball out, and he didn't really see much more playing time after that. But when he get in, you know, when he gets in the game, he gives a little spurt, runs a little, you know, runs different from Le'Veon, so he hits the hole a little faster and things like that. So it's a different, nice change of pace. But again, we still got to see who he's going to be after injury. In terms of, again, Samuels, we don't know exactly what he's going to be in the NFL, and you never know. You know, are they going to keep Ridley? Are they going to keep Toussaint? You just never know at this point. It's too early to guess. But I definitely think they go running back next year in the draft at some point. Let me see. I'm skipping down through some of these guys. Raider says they can't pay Bell that amount of money. They still don't trust him. He liable to smoke some trees and get suspended again. Hey, I feel you. I mean, listen, people can, you know, can joke about that all they want, but that's real. You're dealing with business, and come on, let's be real for a second. I don't want to offend nobody, but let's be real. We're talking about the NFL. And as much as people want to say how good organizations are, et cetera, come on. We know how NFL owners work. It's a business. You gonna sit there and say that they don't take stuff like that into consideration? Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. You think that's not something that they are holding against him, and rightfully so, when it's in the rules. Now, me, for one, I feel like this is a different conversation, but I feel like, man, at some point, if we can be deemed definitely better medically than some of the other things that they push on the players, why not legalize it for that purpose? But that's a whole different conversation. But at the end of the day, if it's the rule and you break the rule, of course, the employer is going to hold that against you. This is America. That's how it works. My man Kenya said, nope, trying to be too fancy. The simple plays don't execute well. You might have a good point there, man, Kenyon, and he's talking about the red zone. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel that way sometimes, too, when I look at some of the plays that are called. And granted, we don't know everything that's happening on the field, who didn't execute, et cetera, but some of the calls, you can clearly see, okay, why did you do that? Why didn't you try something a little different there? You know, I don't feel like Todd Haley, at least, we'll see how Fietner does, but I don't feel like Todd Haley was creative enough with the talent that we have in the red zone. Because think about it, in the red zone, you got to account for everybody. That's the one time that you know you have to account for every single player at a skill position. And my phone is ringing. It's my mother calling me, guys. I'll call her back in a second. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. We'll see what happens. Ali Howard says, how about the problem is Ben? Very possible, too. That's why I wanted to pose that question to you guys. Very possible. Very possible. Very, very possible. Oh, Sammy Coates. Yeah. You guys are right. It was Sammy Coates that was kind of thrown into that mix when, you know, both him and Martavis was on the field. Okay, appreciate that, man. I think it was Sammy Coates. So yeah, I don't know, man. Let's see. Champagne Pop said, or Poppy, got a little Drake reference right there. He says, we need to fix our run defense. I fully agree. Cadillac Status says, if linebacker Bostic don't produce, it's another one and done. Inside linebackers are very weak. Cannot disagree with that, brother. You're absolutely correct there. Let's see. I think I skipped a little far too ahead. Here we skipped ahead a little too much here. Let me scroll back up. Kwanzi, I believe, or Kwanzaa says, don't forget the Browns have Todd Haley and they will definitely be winning games next season. Listen, I'm on record saying that Pittsburgh Steelers could lose week 1 against the Browns in Cleveland. Remember I said that. It's not an impossibility. Kenya says, AB is the only receiver that played big in the red zone. Yep. You're right, because most of Juju's work was outside of the red zone. And let's see. Champagne says, I hope Jalen performs well in the preseason. He could probably take Bell's spot if he leaves. That's a lofty task, man. Those are lofty expectations. We still got to see what Jalen Samuels is going to be in the NFL. I'm hoping for the best also. King Arthur, my mom is calling me once again, guys, so I'm going to have to speed this up just in case it's, you know, an emergency situation or something like that. So let's roll through this. So let me read one more question, man, and let me go. You know, usually my mom doesn't call me back to back, so I definitely need to answer the phone. So let me speed this up. One last thing here from A. Whitfield. He says, I believe Todd Haley leaving may have been the best thing for the Steelers because some of his calls were questionable, very questionable. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. You know, I don't want to put all of the blame on Todd Haley, but definitely Todd Haley, yeah, he was partly to blame, for sure, no question. And I think the Steelers, you know, get an opportunity now to start fresh. You know, some of the same offense with Fiedner already being the quarterback's coach, but I think he's going to open it up a little bit. And, you know, you can't blame nobody now. Can't point the finger at Todd Haley anymore after we see what we do this year. So, yeah, we'll definitely do that. So, all right, guys, like I said, man, that's about the 31-minute mark. Let's go ahead and get out of here, man. I appreciate you guys coming through, and apologies for the phone call, man, but let me definitely go ahead and wrap this up, man, and, you know, give my mom a call back to make sure everything's okay. But anyway, man, I appreciate you guys coming through. We're going to try to stick to this schedule going forward. I may move it to 7 p.m. We'll see. But I want to definitely continue to do these live streams because I know you guys like interacting. And, yeah, there you have it. That's tonight's show. So anyway, man, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications so you're fully aware of the next video. And I promise, guys, it would never hurt you to hit that like button. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for tonight. Let's get it. Here we go, Steelers. And I appreciate you guys tuning in to Terrible Towel Tuesday. All right, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.